branches and divisions up to the front to your seats. If you're speaking this morning, please line up. Oh, he said he's not sending you audio right now. Did you see me on the stage yet? It's coming right now. All right, I gotta hang up. Bye. I think everybody is. Hey, good morning. I'm showing 0700. We'll get started with today's operational briefing for July 5th, 2021. My name is Chris Kerr, the Plant Section Chief for IMT1. If you can do me a favor, please silence your cell phones, turn down your radios, and keep all side conversations outside of the briefing area so that everybody gets a good briefing. We'll get started with the incident update.
Good morning, Josh Campbell. So anyways, yesterday was fairly decent for us. We gained some ground on this. It's still moving, but we got some good work in there. And I believe that they're going to continue to do that today. Down in Branch 1, working along the 70 corridor, still having some issues with it crossing over Highway 70. And we continue to help our counterparts on the other side. We're moved into Greenville there. They helped them out when they needed some structure defense in there. Division Bravo looking really well, still patrolling that, but they're continuing to backhaul hose and trash. Division Victor, which was Charlie yesterday, when they got in there, that's the area that they needed that hot handoff. They're still having some spotting across the line, but they're getting that handled as well. Up in Division Echo, they continue to push line from drop point 50 there to 52, and hopefully get over Cherry Hill and around Butte Meadows and Jonesville today. Working into Division Ida and Juliet, they continued to monitor that line and get dozer lines in there where they could, and continue to go up over Cherry Hill and try to connect the dots in Deer Creek there and up over the top of the L line. Working into Lima last night, they continued the firing operation where they hung it up the work period before, and then they brought it all the way down, and they're still bringing it down to drop point 103. Working over into Mike and into November. Mike, they put a contingency line right right up here by Dyer Mountain, and they brought it down to where the break was for the west and the east side break there. Other than that, they had to bring some resources down from Mike into November to help them. They had some spots scored out on them there, and they just needed our help, so we gave them some resources to button up that side. Have a safe shift.
Now moving on to the incident objectives, starting with the management objectives. Utilize a risk management process to identify and mitigate hazards to protect firefighters and the public. Emphasize strategies and tactics that have the highest probability of success and the least exposure to firefighters and the public. Develop strategies to protect life, property, communities, businesses, and infrastructure. Employ tactics that fulfill these strategies while being mindful of the necessity for contingency and emergency plans. Ensure strategies account for incident priorities, applying resources to those with the highest consequences. Follow COVID-19, CDC, and establish local, state, and federal guidance to limit the virus spread within the incident and surrounding communities near the fire area. Provide timely and continuous incident information to affected agency partners, cooperators, California Team 2, as well as the public. And maintain fiscal accountability and keep cost commensurate with values at risk. Control objectives. Keep the fire north of the fire perimeter and Highway 162 and the junction of Highway 70. Keep the fire south of Highway 36 and 89. Keep the fire east of Highway 32, and keep the fire west of Genesee Road and Grizzly Ridge to Highway 70. Fire weather.
Good morning, Julia Ruthford with Fire Weather. So today we've got a very concerning weather pattern coming up as far as from the fire weather perspective. We continue to have all the same elements we've had day after day after day with the very warm temperatures, low relative humidities, and terrain-driven winds. So we're expecting to see all of those again this afternoon. However, we've got mid-level moisture moving in, and if you look up, you can see these clouds up overhead. They're called altocumulus castellanus, but they're an indication that that mid-level moisture is moving in, and seeing them this early in the day means the instability is up there. Why that's a problem for us is when the smoke column gets up to the point it starts interacting with that moisture, it can condense into pyrocumulus, and with that extra instability, instead of just sitting on top of the column, it'll have the potential to accelerate up very rapidly. So this is a day we've got high potential for large column growth. If you were here last Sunday and Monday, this is a very similar pattern. As far as timing on that goes, it's going to depend on how much smoke there is and when it clears out, but in general, we should see the first pyrocumulus starting to develop in the 1300 time period, and then as we get into 1500, we'll see them getting taller, and at a point they may hit a point where once they reach a certain height, they start accelerating upward very quickly. So later on this afternoon, we've got potential for 30 to 40,000 foot columns off this. Cloud to ground lightning is definitely a possibility out of this. Strong outflow winds, big hazard, and with the terrain as complex as it is up here, there's a lot of places we could see wind shear. In general, the winds will be out of the southwest, but you'll get local valleys, and anywhere where you have the local valley a different orientation from that southwest wind is a place you could see that shear. The other real concerning factor today is that we didn't have last week is the amount of smoke in the area. We'll have to see how fast that clears out if the moisture moves it out quickly. But if it doesn't, we could have a lot of smoke hanging in the valley and over the area to the point where you're not going to be able to see the pyrocumulus from the ground as they begin to build. Also, it'll have a little bit of a capping effect if it stays in here. So when it breaks that cap, it may accelerate upward a whole lot faster than we saw last time. So this is a day with a lot of unpredictability about when these columns will build, where they'll build, what the impacts will, and it's going to be a rapidly changing situation through the afternoon. I'll be issuing updates as I see them picking up, but just everyone really keep heads up and expect things to change very quickly. And please have a safe shift out there.
Fire behavior.
All right, good morning. My name is John Cook, Fire Behavior. So you've heard all about the pyrocumulus today. What does that mean for you on the ground with that fire behavior? The biggest issue is also going to be when you can't see it. So you're going to rely a little bit on us to tell you when it might be occurring. We're going to keep our eye out. Julie's going to keep an eye on the weather on the radar, but what can you do on the ground to make sure you're heads up about it? If you can't see that, what are you waiting for? You're waiting for that change in that wind direction. It's going to be, like she said, southwest this morning, but then you got to get ready for that afternoon shift. It's going to depend on your local, where you're sitting. So don't just rely on your direction. If you got to pay attention to where it's shifting. What happens when that pyrocumulus starts to occur? You're going to get maybe a little bit change in temperature. You're going to feel a little bit different. Maybe that humidity is going to dip a little bit or go up, depending on where you're at. But those changes, those little changes are going to be your keys to figure out what's going to happen. When those outflows occur, you're on your line, what do you got to look for? You got to look for that a rapid increase in winds coming to you. That's going to increase your spotting. So what's really key today is where are your lookouts going to be? What are they going to be looking for? They have a good perspective on where you're at and what they can see, because we can't tell you, I can't predict, she can't tell me where the winds are going to be exactly, so I can't tell you exactly what the fire's going to do. That's up to you on the line to make sure you're keeping your head up and looking for what it's going to do this afternoon. Make sure you're set up for that rapid change. The rates of spread have been extreme. These dry fuels are contributing to that intensity. That's why you're seeing so much of these spotting, because it's so intense on the surface, going into the foliar and the needles, and that's creating that spotting. So today we're adding back in that dry air, dry wind, and those conditions that we haven't seen in a few days. So reset your slides, reset what's in your head about what you've seen last couple days, and we're going to maybe increase it today. Again, lookouts are key. Spotting, we've seen over a mile. And anytime unburned fuel between you and that fire, that's where you got to be careful, and you don't know what direction that wind's going to shift from. Thank you.
Thank you. Operational work assignments.
Good morning, Merrick Fields, West Operations with Incident Management Team 1. So you just heard the weather and the fire behavior. It shouldn't be a surprise at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock this afternoon. If the lid comes off of this thing, it's got the potential to stand up. We're telling you right now. So lookouts, communications, escape routes, safety zones, those are the key things that we've got to stress to those folks out there. So we need to be prepared for that. We had to reorg the map a little bit to reduce our span of control and hopefully increase our communication capabilities out there on the division. So some of our divisional assignments are a little bit different. We're doing that to make it easier for our divisions and folks out there on the ground to accomplish what we need to do. So, and then we'll get into our work assignments, and one of the things I really want to stress, and I want to make very clear to everybody right off the bat, if you're working in Division Alpha Bravo, if you're on the Highway 89 group, if you're up in Division Mike, those are the border divisions between the east and west zones. If we need to slip across that into the east zone and go help those folks, we need to be coming up on their frequencies, making contact with the division soup that you're going in there to help and work with, so that we've got accountability for our folks. That's huge. We have to have accountability for everybody that's going out there. So make sure that you're scanning their command, their TAC all day long. They should be scanning our command and our TAC so that they know that you're coming. So getting into our work assignments for today, Alpha Bravo is pretty much in that patrol status. We've got a handful of structures in there. We need to continue that mop up and tactical patrol in there around those just to ensure that we don't have any more damage in there. Moving over into more into the branch 5, the Charlie and Echo divisions, continued mop up and patrol in there. We got to get some resources up into Snow Meadow where we've been having those engines, and it's crucial that we're going to do that hot handoff in there today. The resources that are going in there need to get out of base camp as quick as we can and get up in there to relieve those folks that are waiting for you. Coming up into more of Branch 7 today, Foxtrot and Golf. Continued prep on all of those indirect lines. The potential is there. We may have to fire that. We've got the firing plan completed. We got to do a couple of fine tuning on it, but depending upon what the weather does to us today, we may or may not fire in there. It's kind of today's that in-between day, depending upon what the weather's going to do to us. And then we're still continuing to prep all of our big box lines out there, just to make sure that we've got good contingency or primary and contingency lines out there in the event that this thing does decide to move out of where we think it's going to go today. And then moving up into Branch 10, the division, Lima and Mike, that they brought fire down to that DP 103 last night. We've got some decent depth in there. We may need to go in there and increase that depth a little bit this afternoon or tonight. We'll just have to see how things go over the course of the day. And then we've got our contingencies. North contingency is going to be crucial depending upon what happens with the fly fire over there. So we're going to continue that contingency line out to the northeast and make sure that we've got a good plan over there. And then the west contingency also coming down the L line, by making sure that we get that tied down into the Highway 32 corridor. Thank you. Have a safe shift.
And branch and division roll call.
Good morning, BJ Corey, Resource Unit Leader with Team 1. This will be the branch and division roll call for the West Zone. So branches and divisions, whether you're here or at the Westwood streaming in, can you please stand, face the crowd so everybody can see and hear you? And we'll start with branch 1, Farrell. Here. Alpha Bravo, Height. Here. Highway 89 Group, Maine. Here. Fire Suppression Repair, Derby. Branch 5, Costa. Yep. Vance Trainee. Yep. We have a change for Charlie and Echo. They have swapped leadership. So Division Charlie will be Jones. Yep. Echo is Kenyon. Yep. Branch 7, Norman. Yep. Division Foxtrot, Edson. Here. Division Golf, Conady. West Contingency, Wright and Gee. Here. Division 9, Jerry. Division India, Thornton. Covert. Division Julia, Swope and McCarroll. Branch 10, Stornetta. Here. Division Lima, Hale. Mike is Aragon. Lake Almanor, White. North Contingency, Valles. And Truel Trainee. And then Silver Dollar Staging is Riley. Thank you, everybody. Have a safe shift.
Air operations.
Good morning, everyone. Thomas Smith, Air Operations Deputy, Team 1. I want to touch on 2 items. First thing, UAS and drone. Any UAS or drone usage on this fire is not approved unless specifically authorized by the Air Operations Branch Director. My second item is communications. We have air-to-ground command and air-to-ground tactical. Air-to-ground command is for divisions and up to talk with the aircraft, and as they get handed off to the ground resources for water dropping or anything else cargo-wise, air-to-ground tactical is for the ground resources to communicate with that single piece of aircraft. With that said, today's lineup in support of your operations, we do have fixed wing early up, ready to fly, and if the air is good, we'll do that. For rotor wing, we have 18 heavies, 7 mediums, and 8 lights. In addition to that, we've added Deer MRB at the corner of Highway 32 and 36. And for today, hoist rescue-wise, we have 2 hoist rescue ships available during the day and 1 24-hour resource. Have a safe shift.
Communications.
Tom Webb, Communications Unit Leader. Operations asked me to remind everyone that the QR code is available, posted around the base and on the IAP. You can go ahead and scan that with your phone. There's a lot of good information in there. Obviously, the 204 is the IAP and maps. So just a reminder to use that resource. It's available for you. There's some different maps in there to be able to access that might not be on the printed stuff. So for the comms plan for today, if you haven't been cloned the last day or so, come and see us. If you're any in doubt if you have the correct clone, come and see us. I know it's been very dynamic with our cloning for the last week or so. So I think we're getting ready we're to a point where we can stabilize and be able to stay on a good clone for a few days. But if you have any doubt, come and see us so we make sure you have the communications group for the East Zone and the West Zone. As the ops did say that we're working on that and going across the line over and assisting them so that everyone has the right frequencies. Another big change for today, Dixie Communications, the comm unit here in the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds in Chico, is now transitioning to West Communications. So West Communications is you're going to call on this side. If you get on the other side of the line and support a Team 2, that's East Communications to get into their comm van. So East Communications is up in Quincy, West Communications is here in Chico at the fairgrounds. CDF Command, NIFC Command 10. We made a little swap yesterday up on Dyer Mountain to get that up there, put NIFC Command 10 up there so that you have something in your state mobile radios that covers a majority of the fire area. That should be able to access that on your mobiles. Remember to select tone 2 to be able to access that repeater in any of the NIFC tacks that are assigned around in our area, which we don't have much on this side anyway. Second part of that is we're going to try to get that NIFC 46 into Red Mountain today so that it increases the communications up and down the 70 corridor there in the canyon. And like I said, if you have any questions, need assistance with your radios, you have repairs, come see us in the comm unit here at the Silver Dollar Fairgrounds. We have a repair, cloning, and any kind of support you might need also up in the Westwood camp. So go see them there if you have any questions, you need anything from us. Have a good day.
Thank you. Just to follow up with what Tom was saying, just before your 214 in your IEP, you will find the cover page to the East Zone, which will guide you to their IEP in case you end up in their area and need to communicate. Medical.
Good morning, Josh Daly Medical. Please turn to page 36 in your IAP. For the resources on the line today, we have line medics in each of the divisions to share on the West Zone, and they will meet your division breakouts, and they're all ALS. For the REMS team, we do have REMS 1, which is in Mike. It's a switch on the IAP. REMS 4 is in Division Foxtrot, so please note that. We still have the 4 ALS 4x4 ambulances, and those are in the drop points mentioned on the medical plan, and they're to service Highway 70, up 89, 36, and 32. In camp, we still have CalMat and MERT, both with MDs and PAs for any treatment or supply. And today, the 25th, back in 2008, we lost a firefighter, Andy Palmer. That's the reason you have that Box 6 protocol. As we get farther out with this fire, the treatment and transport is taking a lot longer. So make a contingent plan. If we cannot get those air assets to you, which is 0 Delta Foxtrot for day BLS hoist, and 822, which is your 24-hour ALS hoist, you need to have a plan to get them out on the ground to definitive care. Please look at Box 6 during your division breakouts and have a safe shift.
Safety.
Good morning, Jesse Winnan, Team 1, Safety. Page 37 and 38 is your safety message for today. A couple of additions from your last shift. Page 39 is an insert about COVID and kind of what we do if somebody's not feeling well. We will have branch safeties in all branches today. We heard from ops, fire behavior, fire weather about changes. So think about transition. We have a different weather pattern today than your last shift. That's your transition. We've heard about pyrocumulus. We've heard about long-range spotting, updrafts, downdrafts, lull in the weather. Have a lookout. Make sure we know what's going on. If you might not be able to see it, everybody's going to be watching it, air attack possibly above you if we have a building column. Know your safety zones, know your escape routes, and have lookouts. Driving. A lot of roads are closed. Civilians aren't on these roads. But we have signage up, we need to slow down. Just because the road is closed doesn't mean we have renamed the street to the Audubon. There's white lines, yellow lines, please stay in your lane. We drive on the right side of the road, please follow that and slow down. Even on the dirt roads, even though there's no signage, slow down please. Backing, use a backer. Communications, we've heard we have 2 different comm plans. We have East Zone, West Zone. Know your divisions are next to you, know East Zones. Have a plan. If you might not be able to get out on ours, or if you're transitioning to the East Zone, know their plans, know how to communicate with them. And we also heard that it's West Zone communications now. So please remember that if you have to call in. IWIs, Andy Palmer's anniversary today. Out of respect for him, learn the IWI. We will be handing out IWI cards for Box 6. If you don't have one, the goal is everybody has one. We're making 500 a day. Please take them for your strike teams and anybody that possibly is on the line. Also going back to communications, it's clone day. Make sure it's cloned. Everybody has it. COVID-19, if you're not feeling well, let your supervisor know. We have plenty of resources and procedures to make sure everybody's taken care of, and have a great safe shift.
Logistics.
Good morning, Jesse Morris, Logistics. If you could please turn to page 40. This is our service and support schedule for both the Chico and Westwood camp. On page 42 is CAL FIRE 101 form. This form is used for items they may have left on the line or have gotten damaged. You'll need a division group soup signature to get those out of supply. And on page 52 and on page 53 of your IEP, you'll find our facility map for both Chico and Westwood camps for all your logistical needs around camp. Have a safe shift.
Information.
Good morning. My name is Chris Bruno. I'm a Public Information Officer trainee for Incident Management Team 1. If you turn to page 45 in your IEP, I have some updated stats for you. The Dixie Fire is currently at 190,625 acres, 21% containment. Total personnel on the incident is 5,022. If you run into the media or public on your incident, please refer them to the incident information line and the media line listed above. Also below, you'll see the social media policies for both CAL FIRE and the federal fire social media. So with that, thank you. Have a safe day.
Liaison.
Good morning, Nate Armstrong, Liaison Trainee for CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 1. Yes, this fire is zoned, but we're in continuous contact with Team 2 running that east zone. And we're both working with the same cooperators. So if you need to make contact, make notification to some sort of utility company or like the railroad, please don't hesitate to reach out through your channels up the chain to the liaison shop, and we'll be sure to make that connection. For all cooperators, our next cooperators meeting will be here at 10 a.m. as well as broadcasts on Zoom. Thank you very much and have a safe shift.
Law Enforcement Liaison.
Good morning, Julie Powell, Law Enforcement Liaison Team 1. On page 50 of the IEP, there's a list of evacuation warnings and orders, also a QR code that you can reference. We know that you're working long hours, the drive times are extended, the conditions are not ideal. There's very low visibility in some areas. There's large debris in the road. We are vetting and allowing entrance by cattle trucks and some work crews, so there are other people on the road. Most of you are not familiar with this area or the roads. Just because the roads are closed doesn't mean that the rules don't apply. Slow down, keep your headlights on in areas that you need them. You can't help anybody if you don't actually arrive to where you're going. Be safe.
Lead Resource Advisor.
Hi, I'm Lynn Gasaway. I'm one of the lead resource advisors. I just want to tell you that we have more resource advisors out there than before, so you might be seeing us. This area is the homeland of the mountain Maidu. It's the homeland of a lot of people. You're out there protecting homes. There's tons of stories out there. The resource advisors are helping you understand those stories and those issues that make this a home. Ask them about their stories. You guys are doing a great job out there. Keep it up. Be safe.
Agency Administrators.
Good morning, John Messina, Butte Unit Chief, and Chief Scott Packwood from the Lassa Modoc Unit. And I'll keep it short so you can get to work. And this is a very complex incident. We are now impacting 2 CAL FIRE units and 2 national forests. But as Chief Truex said early, one fire, one fight. We're 13 days into it, and I just want to reiterate the effort that was put in day one should be the effort that we're putting in today. And a lot of times we need to remind ourselves why we're continuing to put in that effort day in and day out. And you guys know this. Public, lives, property, and environment. Currently, there are 16,401 civilians either within evacuation order and evacuation warning. That's the public we're defending. We have 10,601 structures that are threatened currently. There's our private property, not to mention the private timber companies and their stakes that they have in the area. And then we have the national forest that we're defending. This is a complex incident. It's no longer a rural fire or a remote firefight. There is a lot at stake today, and your effort is critical moving forward through this incident. Thank you for what you've done so far, and we still have a long ways to go.
Hey, good morning, Scott Packwood, Unit Chief Lassa Modoc, and Agency Administrator Chief Messina. I'm going to talk a little bit about the fire history in this canyon in the last 20 years, which is most of our careers and mine. The Bucks fire, the Tobin fire, the 70 fire, the Story fire, the Chips fire. Those were all very complex fires and challenging to contain and put out. This thing encompasses all those combined and it's earlier in the season than those were. I didn't mention some of the big stuff that happened in the fall, like the North Complex and the campfire, for a reason, because we're not there yet. But those fires are all encompassed within this fire, and we're earlier in the season than those even started. Those started in the last weeks of July, early August, and today we're going into unstable weather with indicator clouds like you heard from the forecast. So today's gonna be a day to be super alert and aware of your situation out there, even all the way into tonight, because if those cumulus build, there's a good chance they could collapse late in the day. So go out there, do your part. Every little thing that you do is going to affect the big outcome. Those little spot fires, those guardrails on fire, that's what keeps the road open, is putting those out. So keep that stuff, the little stuff, small, and hopefully we don't have the big stuff. That's all I have. Thank you.
Final comments from the Unified Incident Commander.
Hey, good morning. George Huang, Deputy Incident Commander, Team 1, one of the Unified Incident Commanders. As you know, and I've stated this a couple days ago, a lot of communities are affected. In today's firefight, a lot of more communities can be affected. It's going to be critical that you guys go out there, communicate with your crews, with your firefighters, branches, divisions, all the way down. I want to recognize a few days ago, as you heard, a 10-year-old was saved by some of our firefighters in Reading. I know that, as we move out to the firefight, I'll keep it short, but I would like to recognize Jared Neal of Oakland Fire, Brian Basso, Oxnard, Tom Schwedham of Moraga Rinda, Kyle Emmett, Woodside, Linda Beal from Oakland, Robert Sepulveda from Pasadena, Kevin Adair, Pasadena. 10-year-old being in the right time, right place, cardiac arrest, they saved a 10-year-old. Recognize them, great job being available at the right time. Lastly, Devil's Creek Fire, July 22nd, a few days ago, thunderstorms in Montana. Very similar conditions right now. Erratic winds, thunderstorms, 5 firefighters are injured and burned over in Montana. I cannot stress enough, Westwood Camp, all the way to our camp, all the way to the East Zone, our one fire. Pay attention to the communications, pay attention to the radios, be aware of what's gonna happen or what can happen, and have a great day.
Thank you. Okay, any unassigned resources, please check in with unassigned back where you picked up your IEPs. I'm going to go over the breakout locations, so please don't start moving until I'm done. Starting to my left, your right, Division Alpha Bravo, Fire Suppression Repair, Highway 89 Group, Division Charlie, along the back gate, inside the gate, Division Echo. To my right, your left, Division Foxtrot, Division Gulf, West Contingency, and then any Branch 10 resources that happen to come to this briefing, tie in with Branch 10 back here in the corner. Turn on your cell phones, have a safe shift.